Throughout history, there have been moments when entire cities stood on the brink of disaster, only to be saved by the most unlikely heroes, animals whose extraordinary actions changed the fate of thousands. From a pod of dolphins that formed a protective ring around swimmers to ward off an approaching great white shark, to a cat whose strange behaviour warned an entire village of an impending earthquake, these incredible stories blur the line between animal instinct and something far more mysterious. While we often think of humans as the heroes of history, these remarkable creatures prove that sometimes the greatest acts of heroism come from the animal kingdom. Join me now as we journey to all corners of the globe, exploring the awe-inspiring stories of animals who defied the odds and saved human lives with their courage, loyalty, and extraordinary perception. By the end of this video, you'll meet a creature no larger than a teacup, whose bizarre behaviour saved an entire mining town from catastrophe just minutes before disaster struck. Our first tale takes us to the azure waters off the coast of New Zealand, where a group of swimmers faced an unseen danger, a great white shark. A pod of bottlenose dolphins had been tracking the shark's movements, their sensitive sonar detecting its presence long before it posed a threat. As the shark drew closer, the dolphins sprang into action, circling the swimmers and herding them together like a shepherd guarding its flock. For over 40 minutes, the dolphins maintained their vigilant watch, their sleek bodies gliding effortlessly through the water as they kept the shark at bay. Eventually, the great white shark abandoned its hunt and disappeared into the depths, and the dolphins escorted the grateful swimmers to shallower waters. Our journey takes us now to northern Italy, where a humble tabby cat named Charlie became an unlikely hero. For weeks leading up to a significant earthquake, Charlie's behaviour had become increasingly erratic. He would pace restlessly, meow incessantly, and refuse to enter the house as if sensing an impending threat. At first, his family dismissed his behaviour as mere feline quirks, but as the days turned into nights, Charlie's agitation only intensified. Then, one afternoon, Charlie's behaviour reached fever pitch. He began racing frantically around the house, hissing and spitting, before finally bolting out the door and refusing to come back inside. Moments later, the ground began to tremble with the unmistakable rumble of an earthquake. The family rushed outside to safety, just as a section of their roof collapsed inward. Charlie's strange behaviour, once dismissed as mere feline whimsy, had saved their lives. Our next story takes us to the heartland of America, where a loyal golden retriever named Buddy proved that a dog truly is man's best friend. One cold winter night, a fire broke out in the basement of the Thompson family home. The family, sound asleep in their beds, were completely unaware of the danger that lurked beneath them. Buddy, sleeping at the foot of 10-year-old Emily Thompson's bed, was the first to react to the danger. He began barking frantically, an insistent, high-pitched bark that was unlike his usual gentle demeanour. Emily stirred, groggy with sleep, and was met with the sight of Buddy frantically pawing at her bedroom door. She opened the door to find the hallway filled with thick, acrid smoke. Thanks to Buddy's quick thinking and unwavering loyalty, the Thompson family, along with Buddy, escaped their burning home with their lives. Chapter 4. Feathered Sentinels of the City. We journey now to the bustling metropolis of London, where a flock of pigeons played an unexpected role in averting disaster. High above the city streets, amidst the rooftops and chimneys, these often overlooked birds were going about their daily routine. Unbeknownst to the city's human inhabitants, a silent threat was lurking beneath the pavement, a gas leak, slowly and steadily filling the underground tunnels with potentially explosive fumes. A group of pigeons gathered on a busy street corner, their behaviour growing increasingly agitated. One observant shopkeeper noticed the birds' distress and contacted the authorities. Upon arriving at the scene, gas company workers were astonished to discover a significant gas leak directly beneath the spot where the pigeons had congregated. Chapter 5. An Elephant Never Forgets. Our quest for animal heroes takes us to the exotic shores of Thailand, where a gentle giant named Rani proved that an elephant's memory is as long as its trunk. Rani, a resident of a coastal elephant sanctuary, had witnessed the devastating tsunami that struck the region in 2004. Years later, as the sun rose over the Andaman Sea, Rani's mahout, a young man named Anand, noticed a change in her normally placid demeanour. Rani became agitated, swaying her massive head and trumpeting loudly, her trunk raised high in the air as if sniffing the wind. Heeding Rani's warning, Anand quickly gathered the other mahouts and the tourists visiting the sanctuary, urging them to seek higher ground. Minutes later, the ground began to tremble, and a wall of water came crashing towards the shore. Chapter 6. A Steed's Warning. Our next tale unfolds in the rugged terrain of the Scottish Highlands, where a sturdy Highland pony named Dougal became an unlikely hero during a raging storm. As the rain lashed down relentlessly, swelling the rivers and streams, Dougal, who belonged to a local farmer, grew increasingly restless. The farmer, a weathered old man named Angus, had never seen Dougal behave this way before. He knew that the heavy rains posed a risk of flooding, but the river that flowed near his cottage had never breached its banks. Dougal, however, seemed to sense a danger that Angus could not see. Finally, convinced that something was amiss, Angus decided to heed Dougal's warnings. He gathered his family and a few precious belongings and led them to higher ground, just as the river, swollen to a raging torrent, surged over its banks. Chapter 7. From the rugged highlands, we travelled to the bustling streets of New York City, where a talkative parrot named Coco foiled a robbery and became a local hero. Coco, an African grey parrot, belonged to Mrs. Goldstein, an elderly woman who ran a small antique shop in Greenwich Village. One afternoon, as Mrs. Goldstein was arranging a display of antique silverware, two masked men burst into the shop. Coco, perched on his cage near the cash register, watched the unfolding scene with his sharp, intelligent eyes. The men, brandishing weapons, demanded money from Mrs. Goldstein, threatening her with harm. Coco, sensing her distress and the danger she was in, began to squawk loudly, his usually playful chatter replaced with a series of ear-splitting shrieks. "Help! Help! Police! Thieves!" he screamed, mimicking phrases he had often heard Mrs. Goldstein use. The robbers, startled by the parrot's commotion, panicked and fled the shop, their ill-gotten gains spilling onto the sidewalk as they ran. Chapter 8. A Wail of a Saviour. Our journey takes us back to the ocean depths, this time to the icy waters off the coast of Antarctica, where a humpback whale performed an extraordinary act of heroism, saving a diver from a potentially fatal encounter with a pod of orcas. Marine biologist Nan Hauser had been studying humpback whales for decades, but nothing could have prepared her for the events that unfolded one fateful day. As she swam alongside a massive humpback, her attention was drawn to a group of orcas circling in the distance. Suddenly, Nan felt a tremendous pressure on her back, pushing her upward. The whale, sensing the danger she was in, had positioned itself between Nan and the approaching orcas, shielding her with its massive body. For over 10 minutes, the humpback whale kept Nan safe, its immense size and strength keeping the orcas at bay. Chapter 9. Tiny heroes with a nose for danger. Our next stop takes us to the war-torn country of Cambodia, where a team of unlikely heroes is helping to heal the wounds of conflict. Giant pouched rats. These highly intelligent and trainable creatures have proven to be invaluable assets in the fight against landmines, a deadly legacy of Cambodia's turbulent past. The giant pouched rats, with their acute sense of smell and remarkable ability to learn, have been trained to detect the scent of explosives used in landmines. Fitted with tiny harnesses and working alongside human handlers, the rats scurry across minefields, sniffing the ground for the telltale odour of TNT. When a rat detects a landmine, it signals its handler by scratching at the ground, allowing the handler to pinpoint the exact location of the landmine, which is then carefully deactivated. Chapter 10. The Canary's Warning. Our final story brings us to the coal mining town of Aberfan, Wales, where a small bird played a pivotal role in preventing a catastrophic disaster. It was a cold winter morning in 1966, and the miners of Aberfan were starting their shift deep underground. High above them, in the mine's lamp room, a solitary canary perched in its cage, its cheerful song a constant presence in the otherwise silent and dusty room. Canaries, known for their sensitivity to methane gas, were once a common sight in coal mines, their well-being a crucial indicator of air quality. On this particular morning, the canary in the Aberfan mine suddenly fell silent and began to behave erratically. The lamp room attendant, a young man named Thomas, immediately recognised the signs of danger and sounded the alarm, alerting the miners to the impending danger. Within minutes, the mine was evacuated, the miners emerging into the cold Welsh air, shaken but alive. Outro: Unsung Heroes. As we've journeyed across the globe, from the ocean depths to the heart of the city, we've encountered extraordinary creatures who defied the odds and saved human lives with their courage, loyalty, and remarkable instincts. These stories serve as a poignant reminder that the animal kingdom is filled with wonder, intelligence, and a capacity for heroism that we are only just beginning to understand. From the smallest canary to the largest whale, these animals have taught us valuable lessons about the interconnectedness of all living things and the importance of respecting the natural world. Let us never forget the sacrifices these unsung heroes have made and strive to live in greater harmony with the creatures we share this planet with.